Hello everyone and welcome to the NX A to Z webinar on roles. In this webinar we're going to talk about roles, if you can believe that. So basically roles are a means by which you can save your NX user interface customization. So inside NX you can customize the user interface almost endlessly in terms of which toolbars are on and off. That's just done by right-clicking any one of the toolbar areas. And if you get into customize, you can move the commands all around from one toolbar to another. You can create your own custom toolbars, and then you can change the size of the buttons, and you can put text onto the buttons, and yada yada yada. It's pretty endless in terms of how much you can customize the user interface. So that's great, except prior to roles there was really no way to capture, well, no good way to capture your customization. So if you went to a different computer or if you went to a new version of NX, you had to go back through and customize the UI again to make it look like you had it in the previous version or on your old computer. So NX came up with roles as a way to solve that problem, and basically a role is just a saved set of user interface customizations. So when you open NX, this is the roles tab, the little people, faceless people, and it comes with two sets of roles. There's the system defaults and the industry specific. Now the system defaults, they're not necessarily geared toward a particular type of user other than basically a basic user and an advanced user, and that's kind of the difference there. So we've got advanced here and essentials, and that's the newbie and the expert. There's an ideas role, so if you're transitioning from ideas, that's what that role's for. And then there's these power drafting roles if you have the power drafting product. The industry specific roles are basically they tailor the UI to support a specific industry, and they turn on the buttons that typically would be used in that industry, and they turn off everything else. So it's a good place to start for anybody in one of these industries, because you're going to use the commands you're going to use the most are going to be turned on, and all the rest of it is going to be off, so you don't have to look at a bunch of stuff that you don't need or want. Okay, so activating a role, you just click on it and boom, you're done. That's it. But that's not really what we're talking about. What we're here to talk about is how to save roles. So I have a fairly extensively customized user interface here, and I've got a lot of buttons turned on. I don't know why I like all the buttons turned on. I probably shouldn't do that because it probably just confuses me, but that's the way I do it. So anyway, this is pretty customized, and I want to save this role so that if I get a new computer or if I go to a different computer in my company and log on, I can see this role. I can make the UI the same. So all you got to do is just right click over here and hit new user role and give it a name. If you want, you can put a picture of yourself or whatever up there. I think I have a picture of myself here. Let's see. Oh, it's got to be a bitmap. Oh, no, JPEG. Let's try this one. Webinar headshot. That sounds promising. Alright, so there's my role. And now, about the only thing that I can do with this role is if I install a new version of NX on this machine, then I can use this role to configure the UI on the new version. Or if I change my UI and I don't like it, I can use this role to get it back to what it is right now. if for some reason I decide I want to try one of these roles and I don't like it, you know, then I can always just come in here and get this back. So the other thing that I forgot to mention is you have to select which applications you want to be saved with the role. It just defaults to everything. And then you can also save the dialog memory. So dialog memory is, the last time you created a blend, it was 1/4 inch. So the next time you create a blend, it's going to be 1/4 inch. That's going to be the number that is stored with that dialog. And you can save that kind of information with the role if you want. Now, if you make additional changes, so if I turn off this, whatever this is, edit surface, then all I got to do is just save role, and now it's up to date, I guess, with the changes that I just made. So if I turn that back on and then apply my role, it goes away. So that I want it on, so I'm going to turn it back on, put it back where it was, save the role. So once you activate a role, any changes you make during that session, you just right click and save role, and then that role has been up to date with the latest user interface customizations. So edit just allows you to change the picture and some of the settings, but edit has nothing to do with actually changing the UI settings that are in there. Okay, so what is more useful than this is actually saving roles to your network so that you can use them to set up the user interface for NX on a different computer, or you can share them with your colleagues so that if you get a new guy or girl and you're training them on NX or you're helping them to learn NX, you can give them your role so that you're both looking at the same user interface all the time. So if you tell them where to find the button for whole, it's in the same spot on their screen as it is on yours. So to do that, the first thing that you need to do is go into the environment variables file, and if you are not sure what that is, you need to look at part 1 of the network configuration series on the NX A to Z website, because that's all about the environment variables file. And the environment variable that we're concerned with is custom directories. So if you look at the environment variables file, there's a custom directory variable. So I copied this whole section out of the default environment variables file, pasted it into my custom environment variables file, and then changed the variable. And this points to a text file that lists the custom directories. And the way to create that text file is, as always, just copy the default file. And default file is let's see here. The default file is UGII menus. So copy this, paste it into your network config or NX config directory on your network. Again, I've got multiple versions of this going on, so I have a specific version-specific directory. So there it is. So I copied this out of that UGII menus folder, pasted it in here, and just added this line because I just have one custom directory. So for the roles thing, you set the custom directories variable in the environment variables file, copy this custom directories file onto your network, put one directory in there. That's this directory here. Inside this directory, you need this startup folder and you need a roles folder. So you got to put in startup and you got to put in roles inside whatever directory you set to be your custom directory. Now, to create a role on the network, you just go to Tools, Customize, Roles, click on Create, and browse to the folder that you just created. Okay. We'll skip the picture this time because we don't need to do that. Okay, now if we restart NX, it's going to go out and it's going to look in that folder for roles, and it will load them in the System Defaults panel in the Roles tab. Now, any computer I go to, as long as it is using the same environment variables file, will load this role, and it will be available in the System Defaults panel. Now it's even a little cooler, which this is just kind of a, you know, bells and whistles, I guess. But what you can do is you can add a new panel to the Roles tab, so you can put all your company's roles in that panel, or pane, or whatever you want to call it. So you just open this up, and it's not going to have a file association, so you're not going to have an icon here. And if you double click, it's going to give you this dialog box. Well, it's actually going to give you a dialog box that asks you if you want to select a program or if you want the internet to tell you. Just use select program from a list, pick Notepad, make sure this is checked, click OK, and then you'll be able to open it in Notepad. And all you got to do is at the end of this first line here, before this closing bracket, just type in category equals, and then whatever you want the name of the pane to be, or the name of the panel to be, put it in quotes. And then save it and close it, and restart NX. And now you've got Endesin roles and the network role. So the only thing is you can't save this. There's no save in here. So if you make changes to your UI and you want to update your network role, you just have to go into Tools, Customize, and create a new role and override the old one. And then you'll have to go back in and add the category again. Okay, so that's it for roles. I'll see you later.